What's good, y'all? Today I'm going to teach you how to make an adjustable shoulder strap that you can use for lots of different types of bags and things in general. I make my shoulder straps adjustable like this, and I do swivel hooks typically on both ends, but you could also use this for other sorts of things like attaching it to an O-ring, for example. This will be a super simple tutorial, so let's get into it. All you're gonna need is the fabric of your choice, 2 swivel hooks, a buckle slider in the same size as the hooks. It can be one with a slider or a set bar, then glue and rivets. You'll start by cutting out a piece of fabric that's 6 inches wide and 60 inches long. I'm using thrifted jeans, so I can't cut a piece of fabric that long, so I'm cutting 2 pieces that are 30 1/4 inch, so when I sew them together, it'll be a 60-inch strip. I cut it 6 inches wide because I'm using a 1.5 inch hook. Since I'm doing 1.5 inches, I doubled that number, then double it again, which gives me 6 inches, because then when I fold it in half once, it gives me 3 inches, and when folded again, 1.5 inches. So if you wanted to use a 1-inch hook, you would double that and double it again, which gives you 4. So when it's folded twice, it'll end up being 1 inch. If you have to sew 2 pieces together like me, go ahead and do that now. I like to press the seam open and glue it down, but regardless, you should have a 60-inch strip ready to go now. On both ends of the strip, I'll mark a 1/2 inch from the edge on the wrong side of the fabric. Then I'll spread some glue in that area and fold the edge of the fabric into the line I marked out. Give it a good press, then do the same to the other side. Now I'll mark out a line down the middle of my strip on the wrong side again, so for me the line will be 3 inches from the edge. Then, still on the wrong side, I'll mark out 4.5 inches from the edge on both sides of the strap. Then I'll spread some glue throughout that area. Make sure you aren't letting any glue drip off the bottom edge, but you don't have to be 100% precise at the top line, and you'll do this for both sides of the strap. The reason I glue these bottom areas is because it helps make things more precise, and it also stiffens these areas, which makes it more durable. Now I'll fold one side into the middle line, making sure the top edges match too. Then I'll fold the other side in so that they meet in the middle, and I'll do this for both ends of the strap. Then I'll iron the whole area between those areas that I glued. Same thing, just ironing one side to the middle, then the other side to make them meet in the middle. Now that the whole strap is folded in half, I'll mark out 4.5 inches from the edge on both ends again, and same thing as before, I'll spread some glue in that area, this time being even more careful to make sure I don't let any drip over the edges. Then this time I'll fold it edge to edge, making sure everything's lined up perfectly, and I'll do this for both sides. Then I'll let the glue dry. Same thing again, I'll iron the rest of the strap in half, making sure the edges match up on both sides. Now it should look something like this with the edges matched perfectly all around. Should be 1.5 inches wide at this point. And before we sew it, I'm going to mark 1/8 of an inch from the edge on both sides. I'll be using this as a guide for where to start and stop my sewing. Then I'll start on that line we just drew and sew 1/8 of an inch from the edge all the way down until I get to the line at the other end, and I'll do this for both sides. This will close the strap. If you're using a lightweight to midweight thread, I'd backstitch at all the starts and stops, but since I'm using heavyweight thread, I'm going to pull my thread end from the top side through to the bottom and knot the 2 thread ends together, then burn it down. This provides the same function as a backstitch, but I think it looks cleaner. Now it should look something like this, and I'm ready to add the hardware. On the bottom side of the strap, I'll mark out 4 inches from the edge on one of the ends, then another mark at 2 inches. That mark at 2 is where the swivel hook will be, and we don't want to get glue on the hardware, so I'll mark a 1/2 inch in both directions from that middle line. This top mark we just made is where we'll be folding the edge to. I do it at this height so that I have enough room to do the double rivets on it, but you could do it lower than this. It's really up to you. Now I'll get some glue in the top section of my markings and the bottom section, but not the middle where the hook will be. Then I'll slide my hook in, fold the edge back to the line I marked, then I'll let the glue dry. While that side dries, on the other side, I'm going to mark out 3 1/4 inch from the edge, and that's the only mark I need to make for this side. Now, looking at the strap from the top side, I'm going to get my buckle slider on, then slide my other swivel hook on with the top side of my strap facing up, and then I'll go back through the far side of the slider and again back through the near side. Then find my markings on the wrong side and match the edge to that. I'll clip this in place to show you how it works quick, so when I put push the strap through from the left. It then gets pulled through the swivel hook into the bottom side, and that's how I could make the strap shorter. Then I'll get just a little bit of glue on that wrong side, and I'll match that in place with my line that I drew, and I'll let that dry as well. Once the glue is dry, I'm going to mark my stitch lines. I want to get it as close to possible to where my stitching ends on the back side, and this will also seal the edge on that side. Now I can stitch on that line, starting at the stitching on one side and going across to the stitching on the other side. Then again, since I'm using heavyweight thread, I'm going to pull my top thread end through to the bottom and stitch back across, hitting all the same holes my needle made the first time, and then I'll finish with one back stitch. So you could have just done the full back stitching, but again, I'm going to pull my top thread through, clip it, and seal it with the lighter. I'll do the exact same thing on my other end of the strap, and then I'll be done with the sewing. The strap should look something like this now, with the stitching lining up on the back side. Now I'll do my rivets, so I'll start by marking out the middle of the strap in this lower area to center everything. Then I'll mark 3/8 inches down from the stitch line and also 1 1/8 inch down from the stitch line. Then on the other side, I'll do just one mark 1/2 inch down from the stitch line. Now I can punch all 3 holes for my rivets, making sure I punch them right on the marks. Then I can get all my rivets in. I have a press, but you can also hand set them. Now you're done, and your shoulder strap should look something like this, with your adjustable slider in the middle and the swivel hooks on both ends. I went with the double rivets on it, and I also added this whip stitch too for extra durability. For reference, this is the strap at its longest length, and here it is at its shortest. Just remember, the size of your bag will also impact how the strap sits as well. I hope this tutorial was easy to follow. Let me know if you guys have any questions. Make sure to subscribe for more tutorials, and have fun making your shoulder straps. Love y'all.